Hi everyone, Sid here again. Guess what I'm doing? I'll give you a hint. Tonight's lather will be Pro Razzo Red in a tub, and I'll be adding some lavender, and the lather will be, the aftershave will be Boba Num, as kind of usual. The Pro Razzo Red is actually a part of the shaving supplies that I splurged last weekend, and it's never been used before. Ooh, virgin lather. So yeah, before I get into tonight's topic, I just want to go into why I bought this. I came to the realization that Pro Razzo shaving tubs, they fit nice and snug into my shaving bowl. So what my plan is, I'm going to work these tubs down to where my travel brush, which is not this one, can fit nice and snug into the tub. And then I'll just go back to the tubes. And what's cool about this is that once this is set up, I'll have the red tub for when I travel during the winter months, and the green tub for when I travel during the summer months. And ça donne bien. It's a happy coincidence. It's the winter months, so I'll be working this down. You'll be seeing this regularly for over the next couple months. So tonight's topic, I want to get into something that happened to me earlier this week, and it needs a bit of context. So let me put an asterisk in front of what I'm about to say. I'm not too informed as of the details. I'll get into why shortly. But the bottom line is there are a bunch of politicians that are, when politicians say something, you can kind of tell that they're lying. But these politicians have actually been following through on their promises to balance the budget and shit like that. And they've recently decided to go after the pensions of policemen and women, which I find kind of a stupid move, because cops are the people that they rely on to actually carry out their violence. So it seems like a strange move. But one thing is for sure, cops aren't happy about it. And just to give you an idea, they've been putting stickers on their cars and using all sorts of pressure tactics to talk to their local municipalities, because cops are a municipal thing. So this, by the way, putting stickers on their cars includes unmarked cars, which, as you can imagine, kind of spoils the punch. And I'll get into that into a second, because that actually involves what happened to me earlier this week. So let's go to what happened. Basically, I was pulling out of one of these businesses that's alongside a service road on the highway, and the lane that's like right in front of the business is reserved for like buses and taxis and things like that. And when I pulled out, there was actually a bunch of traffic. So much traffic that no one would basically let me into a lane that I could legally drive on. So I drove maybe, I don't know, couple hundred meters in this reserve lane. And after I finally pull into the lane that I'm supposed to be in, I notice a minivan in my rearview mirror with a bunch of stickers on it. And the first thought that popped into my mind was, if he tickets me, am I going to go Mark Stevens on their asses? And finally what happened is, the lane that I was in, there was this big ass truck in front of me, so I couldn't really move. And I noticed, like, I didn't really want to find out, I noticed that the van didn't like turn on any secret hidden lights or anything like that. So I'm stuck behind this big rig. There's not enough soap. I'm gonna lather up a bit. So I'm stuck behind this truck, and I noticed that the van, his lane was free, and he's kind of like stalling right next to me. Even though like I have the big ass truck here, this lane is completely free, and he's like stalling next to me. And in general, I don't like interacting with armed strangers. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care what pieces of metal you have in whatever pocket of your clothes. I try to avoid interacting with armed strangers in general. And what he did, I forget exactly how he grabbed my attention, but I turned to my side and noticed that his passenger side window was down. So I lowered my driver's seat down, and he basically says, "Hey, you're in the reserve lane. You're not supposed to be there." And I said, "Sorry." And then he moved along and went about his day. Basically, in layman's terms, he let me off with a verbal warning. And I'm really, by the way, me apologizing to an armed stranger, not evidence that the Constitution and Code apply to me. Just saying. And when as I was continuing about my business, going towards my destination, I was, first of all, I was relieved that I wouldn't even have to decide whether or not I was going to go Mark Stevens on their asses to defend myself against an alleged code violation. And again, I use that term very deliberately, very. And then I started wondering, like, if he was just going to let me off with a verbal warning, why go through the whole spectacle of telling me? Why not just let me go about my business? And I was also curious, and this is the main question that I wanted to mention that I was pondering, because I don't know, but I kind of know, which is what would have happened had I not acknowledged him. I mean, obviously, the obvious move that you can do to get my attention would be to honk your horns. I think it would have worked because, you know, when you hear a sudden sound, you kind of look where it is. That's something natural that humans do. But what if I had decided that I wasn't going to engage in this person and just said, you know, look ahead even if he honks, look ahead even if he honks, look ahead even if he honks, and then he honks his horn and I keep looking ahead? What would have happened then? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm really grateful, speaking relativistically, I'm really grateful that that cop in that moment cared more about his pension than he did about his quota. But the question remains, like, why go through that show of force in the first place? And if you think it's objectionable for me to use the term show of force, I suggest you Google force continuum, and you will see that mere presence is part of the force continuum. And if you think that I'm using that or I'm misinterpreting that, please let me know in the comments or on Twitter @SidRockMTL. So basically, that's the question. I mean, would he have turned on his lights? Would he have let me? Move up ahead so that he could be back in my rearview mirror to turn on the lights and actually give me a ticket? Or what would have happened? So yeah, I think I've belabored that question enough for today, because honestly, I think the predictable thing would have been, oh, you're not acknowledging me? Well, I'm going to turn on my lights and ticket your ass. So for the second pass, I'd just like to go into why I'm not really that informed on the details of what's going on with these pensions things, because really, the bottom line, the way I see it, it's just a bunch of killers, thieves, and liars that are bickering over all of our money. And sadly, by all of our money, I'm including the unborn, which might be its own video at some future point. So really, like, the whole the details of when such and such politician broke his or her word, it's really irrelevant to me. And it's really difficult for me to sympathize with the police in general, because the police specifically, because not too long ago, like a year or two ago, there was this whole student protest thing, which is, again, a bunch of students were angry because their student fees were going to go up again. Some promised to balance the budget, because obviously that's what it's about. They care about us so much. And the cops that now are complaining about their pensions, because now they're the ones under the gun. A bunch of them, you know, they were very happy to dress up in riot gear and beat the shit out of a bunch of peaceful students. So yeah, like I understand that this pensions thing, it doesn't just affect cops. It affects a whole bunch of public sector jobs, mainly firemen, ambulance drivers, basically anyone who works at a municipal level, because apparently that's where the level of government at which their pensions are managed. And the provincial, the premier of Quebec, Couillard, is the one who's like passing this sweeping law that's going to affect everyone about how, oh, we got to balance the budget, so they're gonna pick into a bunch of people's pensions, and people are upset. But really, no matter what his stated intentions are, you can pretty much bet that there's something else going on. And that's kind of why the details aren't that meaningful to me. You know, like I feel for, to a certain extent, I feel for the public sector workers who would still have jobs if we weren't forced to pay them. People who work like in education or healthcare or firemen. I mean, having your house burned down is a shitty thing. So people would be willing to pay to make sure that that doesn't happen on a voluntary basis. But really, the cops, you know, that or at least the way we know them today, there's no way that would exist if we weren't forced to pay for them. I think that something that people keep forgetting. Most of you never really knew, sadly. There are technically two aspects to a policeman's job. There's peacekeeping and there's law enforcement. It's the law enforcement that I find shitty, because it violates the non-aggression principle, and obviously peacekeeping is something that people would demand anyway. I mean, again, people like to protect their property, and if someone steals my bike, I'm gonna want to be able to have access to someone who could at least help find the person who stole my bike, or help me replace the bike. But that's not the same thing as demanding money from me because I'm using my bike without a helmet on. That's not the same thing at all. One is voluntary, the other is not. Because even if I gave permission, like let's say I hired a security man and I said, if you ever catch me running with scissors, I authorize you to demand $50 from me. I still don't have the right to make that decision for other people. So that's kind of why it's difficult for me to sympathize with cops, but I kind of do sympathize with other public sector workers who are affected by this to a certain extent. Because the thing is, and this is the way I say it ironically when I'm in a cranky mood, which is, ugh, this known liar lied to me. Like, you made a deal with a known liar, expecting the person to keep his or her word, which is kind of easy to do, considering that apparently when these deals were made, none of the people that were there would be in power today, and they knew it. So basically, I make a deal with you that involves both of our children, and then when our children are there and it's time to collect, then one of the children says, I never signed up to this, we gotta balance the budget, and all that shit. So that's about it. Just wanted to share that story with you, and that's about it. So thank you for watching, and like, comment, share, subscribe right here. Follow me on Twitter @SidRockMTL, and I'll see you in the next shave.